Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Dr. Jannine Krause. Dr. Jannine Krause is a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist, host of the Health Fix podcast, and creator of the Reset and Recovery program, where she helps clients create stress-fighting habits and routines that boost energy, increase focus, and balance hormones. She's speaking our language today, you guys. She has thriving sports recovery, stress, and pain management practices in Renton and Tacoma, Washington, where she has been in practice for over 14 years and sees more than 500 patients each year. Dr. Krause contributes articles to the Naturopathic Doctor News and Review, has been a guest on podcasts like True Health with Ashley James, the Gutsy Health podcast, the Less Stressed Life podcast, and Get Over Yourself podcast. She is available to comment on topics such as vagus nerve inflammation and stress, cardiovascular conditioning training, sports recovery, hormones, acupuncture, herbal, and Chinese medicine. Today, we talked about why stress is the root of all evil. No, I'm just kidding. All illness, how neuroinflammation speeds up the aging process and what to do about it, what you're missing in your anti-aging journey to end feeling sick, fat, fatigued, full of wrinkles, and in a constant state of brain fog. How your mindset keeps you fat, fatigued, stressed out, and unfulfilled. How traditional Chinese medicine can be the catalyst to staying physically strong, mentally sharp, leaner, and looking amazing as you get older, and so much more. This was such a great podcast. It's always a learning experience when you have great information and doctors coming on the podcast. So it promises to be a really good listen. Make sure you take notes. She goes into depth about so many things. I think you guys are going to love this episode. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the episode. I am so excited to welcome Dr. Jannine Krause to the Sisterhood of Sweat today. Welcome.
Thanks, Linda.
Wow. I mean, we're talking before the show actually even starts, and I'm finding out already Jannine lives in Washington State. What brought you to Washington State, and what do you like about it?
Oh man, the mountains it was the mountains and being able to be in the mountains and to the beach in the same day if I wanted to. How many times have I actually done that? Maybe twice, but that's the nature of this place. It's just a beautiful place to live. And that's really what brought me here. I went to Bastyr University to become a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist back in the early 2000s. And I loved it then and then moved to Colorado, another beautiful place, but decided that ultimately I like the water and the green here. So it brought me back.
Actually, that sounds like a dream come true. How often have you been then to the mountains and the beach since you've been there?
Well, I try to go almost, let's put it this way, at least once a month. Not as much as I thought I'd be able to do. This past weekend, I had an epic hike that was in the Olympic mountain range, and I was by this little river, and there was all these swimming holes. So we were jumping in with the dogs. It was awesome. So you never know what kind of little adventure that I might find myself on.
What's been your favorite experience of living there?
Oh man, good question. Probably my most favorite is the skiing. I like to get on top of the mountains and ski down. So there's a couple resorts here. Crystal Mountain's one of them. Mount Baker's actually my favorite, and it's a little north. And those are my favorite places to go. So yeah, I think that would be my most memorable.
Wow, I'm gonna have to visit. I've only been to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, much different.
Yeah, I'm sure. Especially nowadays, but
Yes.
when I was young, it was pot smoking out on the grass. Well, probably not much has changed, but it was the hippie era, and everybody was in front of the Washington Monument, the Woodstock era. And they're like on blankets, free love, peace, the whole bit. And I remember sitting in a cherry tree, which was there was all the cherry trees were in bloom, and then of course we did all the, you know, what you do when you go to Washington D.C. I remember being I believe at Abraham Lincoln's monument, and all the guards, the changing of the guard was going on, and it was freaking hot outside. I remember being a little girl thinking, how do they stand being, you know, in these uniforms with all the heat? And
Yeah.
so it's just amazing, I think, getting out of our comfort zone, visiting places, what we surround ourselves, our environment goes a long way to relieving our stress. I think what we surround ourselves with. And you talk a lot about why stress is the root of all illness. Why do you say that?
Oh gosh. Well, if we're stressed out, we have this intricate nervous system, right? Our autonomic nervous system. We have the fight or flight, and we have the rest, digest, and chill. And the more that it keeps getting hit over and over and over again, the more that that nervous system loses its ability to control inflammation within the body. And so this vagus nerve goes to every single organ you have, goes to your tissues, everywhere. So if we have stress keep hitting, and we're not doing anything about it to get ourselves to chill, things start to break down. And it usually is going to be at the spot where you've had the most trouble. And a lot of people will start with digestive issues because, let's face it, a lot of us eat fast. We don't eat healthy. We eat on the go, things of that nature. And so it's kind of this area of our bodies that gets beat up quite a bit. So that's one of the areas, there's many others: pain, aches and pains, headaches, things of that nature, tight muscles that provoke headaches. But I do believe that if we were better at slowing down and really taking time to breathe and give ourselves breaks during the day, we wouldn't have as much anxiety, insomnia, depression, gut issues, pain, all of these things.
I think like I can relate to what you're saying, because I think I constantly, because I had been in an abusive marriage when I was younger, uh, physically abusive, I lived in that constant fright or flight mode. And my body got used to it. So then I think like I would over exercise. I would be into this competition mode, which my body, then again, I was overdoing it because it was my coping mechanism, the
Yeah.
working out. And I think I was kind of not wanting to deal with past memories, so running from them. And so one day I couldn't run anymore. I had to stop for a little bit because I had an injury. And that's when I
Yeah.
really had to face, oh my goodness, how long have I been in this fright or flight mode, this, post-traumatic stress disorder, and realize that living in that fright or flight mode, eventually you
Mhm.
pay, and you pay in all kinds of different ways. Like I think my cortisol was high because of
Mhm.
the fright or flight, and then I got that muscle wasting, and that caused my injury, so to speak. I'm self-diagnosing right now.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I mean, you're pretty much describing what happens to so many women who are fit and then start to lose their fitness because of an injury. And usually we use fitness for our stress management. I mean, that's what it's there for a lot of folks. And yeah, you're not describing anything abnormal. This is what I hear day in, day out. I used to run. I injured myself. Now I gained a bunch of weight and I'm frustrated and I don't know where to go. And you connected with your self-diagnosis there that stress was the connector. So high five. Good job.
I do my homework and I do a lot of research. So I had time when I was on my back, let's just say. Now I'm up
Yeah.
and running again, but I am
Huge.
like, I have other coping mechanisms because I had about 3 serious injuries because I was stubborn and did, keep wanting to go back to that coping mechanism and wasn't listening to my body like we should. But then I finally learned to listen. I started developing new coping mechanisms. And so now I'm running, like, I'm like, okay, no judgment. I know I used to run X amount of miles at this speed. I'm going to run for 45 minutes. And I took my dog Snickers and we went out for a run. It was her first run. She's only like about 12 pounds.
Oh,
And it was great. She ran with me the whole 45 minutes. It was like a bonding. I always wanted a dog I could run with. And it was so cool, right? But I didn't worry. I didn't pressure myself to be, in this, like, I've got to go this fast and I've got to, do X amount. And I was just like, I'm going to enjoy the day. I'm going to take a run and I'm going to run for about 45 minutes if the dog lasts that long. I didn't know. I was like, she's never run with me before. So, but I'm just saying, like, when your coping mechanism is working out and you're not dealing with whatever it might be, you can be stuck in that flight or fright. And I think if you've had it before, it's like you almost don't know any better. And how do we get out of that is where I'm leading. How do we get out of being in this continual, like, I'm running from a tiger, I've got to be busy, and your body doesn't know the difference. And we're all stuck in this, high adrenaline mode.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it takes some time, right? Most people, I have to be like, look, we're in for a journey together. And most of the time it's going to take about a year to really get your body convinced that there is nothing chasing it. I like to use different types of wearables. I don't have it on today, but like an Aura ring or an Apple Watch to see what sleep's doing. I like to have people pay attention to their heart rate. Even old school, get your secondhand, clock out and taking your blood pressure, not your blood pressure, your pulse, to know like how things affect you. So it starts with awareness and being aware of what sets you off in terms of that trigger where you feel like you are stuck in fight or flight, or you feel like you're overwhelmed, you start to stress eat, whatever it is, or you pop off and you get angry and you have anger outbursts, whatever that thing is that you are noticing, like, oh crap, I've hit my like limit for the day. Sometimes for people it's fatigue. Where are you hitting it where it's just like all of a sudden you just are like, and I'm taking a nap, or I need a Red Bull, or I need a Monster, or I need another coffee. These are things to be paying attention to. Once you've mapped out all of those areas where you're feeling either the overwhelm, fatigue, et cetera, everything I just mentioned, then it goes, oh, okay, these are the areas where I need to go. Do I need a break? What need am I not, what needs am I not fulfilling? Because for a lot of people, when we get into these modes, it's because we haven't taken a break usually, or we're not drinking water, we're not eating, something is inherently being skipped. So then that adds to the stressor on the body. So awareness, and then starting to add in, like, where can I put in breaks during the day so I can slow down, but not feel like, oh God, I'm not being productive because I slowed down. Because
I mean, I feel guilty. Like,
yeah.
if I'm not doing, I'm getting over it, but I literally would feel guilty if I wasn't being productive. And I know a lot of you can relate to that.
Oh my gosh, so many. Even myself, like, this is why, I'm here because I pushed myself past the limit of what I could handle, and then I couldn't function. And this is, where we have to start with awareness, because the more that we know about ourselves and our patterns, what triggers us to, what triggers you to want that glass of wine at night? What's triggering you to want to do another workout? Or what's triggering you to be like, I need to get my workout now, and if I don't, I'm going to kill somebody. That kind of thing. These are huge things to be aware of. Weight gain, things of that nature too, seeing that happen. But the big thing is really going, okay, how have I structured my day so that it actually benefits me? Because we are worth it. Ladies, you're worth it to have your day structured around you. And it's not selfish. And I know a lot of us are like, oh God, I'm being selfish by, taking time for me. I'm being, this is ridiculous. No, it's not. And easing in. So I have everybody in my practice, literally, they start with awareness. The second thing is we start with the morning routine. Just, I'm no different than a lot of the other folks out there talking about easing into your day and really working on, okay, what are the top things I need to get done today and what are secondaries? Because I think a lot of ladies love their lists to check them off the box. And when you're not checking them off the box, you're like, oh my God, I'm not being productive. So how can I take a break and still get stuff done? Well, you will find over time, And I have to tell people this is a little bit a part of where we have to practice a little bit so that you see the results in the end. And it's taking 2 to 5 minute breaks twice during the day, where you either sit and do nothing, or if you can get outside and it's not snowy where you live and you can get barefoot and walk out in the grass or out in some sand, you're grounding, you're recharging yourself. I also have this fellow that I interviewed on my podcast not too long ago that has these EMF rocks that recharge you. There you go, ground therapy.
I had the guy that created grounding, or not the grounding of the earth, but
Yes.
the grounding. Like I have the grounding mats, Clint Obear.
Nice.
I had him on the show, and it is a reality. Like your cortisol goes down from the grounding. It's so much. I mean, it's actual science. And he actually was a cable guy, and he discovered all of this because of the science. Like he created almost basically the cable TV, network.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's pretty fascinating. You can go back and listen to that episode, but I'm just saying, like, you guys, don't underestimate the value of getting outside and putting your feet in the grass for 20-30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I do it all the time. And this is like, I might sound, I'm glad that you're saying don't underestimate it. Yes, I might sound crazy to some folks, and I even sounded crazy to myself. I didn't grow up.
We're magnetic.
Yeah.
And you're basically, I don't know the full science of it. I almost have to go back and listen, but it's the way that the earth basically charges us, and it really actually lessens people's pain and injuries, and they heal. And I remember the guy that was an assistant to Dr. Clint was going on and on about how awesome it was. So I was like, okay, I'll try this out.
It truly is. We're negative creatures. Our balance is negative, or we're more in, and I don't mean it like negative Nancy, I mean it like ions. We are negatively charged creatures. And so when we go outside and we put our feet in the ground, that's a negative charge as well. So it's recharging us as who we are. EMFs, so electromagnetic fields, are positive charges. So all your 5G, all your electronics do tend to deplete you. And I mentioned wearables, and that's why I don't have my Oura ring on all the time. I also don't have like my Apple Watch on all the time, is because your body needs a little bit of a break from that, or you can counter it by getting the EMF rocks or going outside and grounding a lot. So a lot of my fit folks, because of course this is a sisterhood of sweat, a lot of my fit folks, one of the biggest issues I'll see is we're trying to get someone more stronger, get the fat off, get them cardiovascularly conditioned. And they've got their wearables and they're like, I'm not improving, doc. What's the deal here? I start to incorporate in getting outside. I start to incorporate in EMF rocks, things of that nature. Now we can counter the effects of all the wearables, all the different things that, while they benefit us to track data as to what's going on internally, we have to counter that. And so purpose of me going down that tangent is, yes, the grounding does help. And while it sounds woo-woo, I challenge you all to try it. It's incredible. And if during the day it can't happen, make it part of your wind down routine, because this is the other big factor that a lot of folks aren't thinking about. We end a workout with a cool down, but then we're like, boom, I'm out. I got to go do 8,000 things. We haven't shut off that cortisol pump with the cool down. We need to lay down 5 minutes, breathe. That's called positional parasympathetic breathing. And you're really just chilling yourself out, telling yourself it's over. What we don't do in addition to that is we don't tell ourselves work's over. And especially now with COVID, so many people working at home, and there's no difference between home and office stress. So I'm big on wind down routines in the evening. Tell yourself work's over, and signal it by either you go for a walk, maybe you do your grounding, then you lay down, you breathe, lay down outside, mega bonus, or a grounding pad, something like that to tell your body that the workday's over. And so you can ease into recovering from your workouts and your workday, because both of them are just as stressful for the body.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Rest is so key to recharging your batteries. And basically you're echoing everything from a course I'm in right now with a bunch of health practitioners and doctors. The lady that wrote the Betty Body, Dr. Stephanie Estima, and we have been discussing how, like, your when you're around all the EMF, if you're leaving the blue light on too late at night, or and your phone is beside your bed, she's like, if you realize how much that, and it's important for women as well as men to have testosterone, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you realized how much that drains your testosterone, you wouldn't have your phone ever in your bedroom. And also, like, it messes with all your other hormones. And so, like, just that. And then we talked a lot about breathing and nose breathing, because a lot of people have sleep apnea because they are kind of getting lazy with their breathing, so they don't develop the nose breathing. So at night they're breathing with the mouth. And if you would work during the day, even during a workout, and do some of this nose breathing, it dilates the sinuses, which helps them open more. You'll strengthen those passages. You'll sleep better. Like, you'll be more apt to sleep correctly at night. She said you could even, she said, of course, don't take me to the letter, but you could even put a little tape over your mouth to kind of help that along. Of course,
Yeah.
you don't want to have it on there real tight, because you want to be able to breathe in case you're not doing good nose breathing.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
like,
man, I love it.
it's like what they say, I play this on TV, don't try it at home, but because I was like, I don't know, I don't think I'll tape my mouth shut, but I will practice the
Mm-hmm.
nose breathing. Although
Yes.
my husband at times may like say, oh, that'd be okay, honey. No.
Oh, they would all love us for a moment to have some tape over our mouth in certain situations, wouldn't they? Oh yes, yeah. There's that.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
but if you can't do that, or I mean, for me, I don't think I have not tried the tape over my mouth because it freaks me out a little bit. But I like that. I like the concept of nose breathing for sure. For sure.
Yes, it really, actually, one of the breaths in yoga that I like to do, it's probably more similar to a giving birth kind of thing, but I love to do the whisper breath, where you breathe in through your nose and then out against your throat, like the ah sound, like a whisper. It's a very, very calming breath. And if you ever try it, you just breathe in through the nose and then just like a ah, like against your throat. You could even almost keep your mouth closed. It is very, very calming and centering. And the breath, so many people talk about the breath work. It's a reality. It does. They have so many studies on how it lowers the cortisol. What else lowers cortisol that you would recommend?
Well, in addition to the grounding, like we mentioned before, taking the time to slow down and singing, having fun, getting just out in nature in general will lower cortisol. Ashwagandha, if you want to take herbs, is one of the most popular ones for lowering cortisol. Acupuncture, which is another big love of mine as well, can really lower cortisol. I Mindset, even changing the mindset, laughter, things of that nature can help you to lower cortisol.
So tell us a little bit about acupuncture. I've never had it, so I'm totally a virgin. Just tell me
Okay.
about it.
So so the needles go into the body. I'm not putting energy or anything in they're stainless steel needles. And what they're doing is creating a small wound. And in that case, they're getting blood flow to go to that needle. So calling awareness to the body of that particular area. What also happens is we will move sodium, potassium ions within the body. Inflammatory proteins can move in, flush out the old ones. Endorphins are kind of like the big thing, though. We are moving those, and that's where people get that little acupuncture high or pain relief feeling from the needle. So essentially, we're taking where it hurts in the body or where there's somewhere that's out of balance. We're putting a needle. And when I say when you don't have pain and you're getting acupuncture, there are over 600 points in the body that we can choose from that have been researched to have effect for this, that, and the other. And so you're using the needles to call awareness of the body to that area, and then you're moving blood flow in that area. So it's about circulation of blood, but also circulation of ions and endorphins.
It sounds sort of similar to what I have my massage therapist do, which is cupping,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
because that brings a lot of blood flow to the area. But I don't know that it releases things like what your the needle stick would do.
So
Um,
it's
this
slightly good. It's similar. It's
okay,
more that you can move things to the surface and move them around, but with the needles you can go a little bit deeper on a deeper level than the cups. So it's just
okay.
a deeper therapy. And sometimes I will needle and then put a cup over the needle. So I
You
kind of
probably
get
want
the
to
two.
make sure you trust the people with the needles.
Yes, yes, yes. Make
Go
sure
to
the
a
person,
reliable acupuncturist.
absolutely, someone who's been licensed and
Oh my
trained.
gosh. So tell me why you're into this, Chinese medicine. Why do you think that helps our nervous system and slows down the whole aging process?
Well, what it's doing, there's twofold. One, to have acupuncture, you have to lay down and relax or sit and relax for about 30 to 45 minutes. So, one, we're slowing you down just because we're putting needles in you. So, that's going to induce a little bit of a chill effect on the body. Now, granted, they're needles, so people might be a little freaked out about that. But what the needles do is they really tap into your vagus nerve. So, this is your fight or flight, your core autonomic nervous system. And by tapping into that and releasing endorphins, this is where we're getting the effect of let's send the body a message. We're taking a break. We're not going to fire so hard in terms of working on the nervous system with it. So it's more or less when the needles go in, it gives the body just a message that's like everything's okay. We have time to slow down, circulate, and heal. So it does turn on the autonomic nervous system. And the more that we can turn on the chill part of the autonomic nervous system, the less we're going to age, because ultimately aging is all wrapped up in how well you can manage stress effectively in your body.
What is neuroinflammation and how does that affect our health?
So neural inflammation is tied back into the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve is in charge of how much inflammation is at any given part of our body. So if the vagus nerve is out of control, meaning that it's had the signals to put through on the fight or flight side of the nervous system for too long, it can't control how much of a particular area of the body becomes inflamed. So what ends up happening is now your actual nerves will become inflamed and your nervous system as a whole can become inflamed. And so neuroinflammation is more or less out of control. You cannot control your fight or flight system anymore. And so we start to see things like migraines. We start to see numbness and tingling, loss of function, tense muscles, and things of that nature from the neuroinflammation.
So what are some ways that people can help their health and get rid of this neuroinflammation?
So really going back to basics and thinking about yourself in turn, being selfish and going, what can I do to calm myself every single day? So self-soothing without over taxing yourself. So thinking about like, yes, if your workouts are your stress relief to a point, then after the workouts, cool down. After the workouts, do the parasympathetic breathing, like I was mentioning, to kind of calm the nervous system, keeping in mind that every single day you're going to have things that are going to come at you that you can't control, whether it's what's going on in the media, whether it's what's going on in your neighborhood. These are things that you have to help your body to be able to roll with the punches, adapt better to the stressors. So looking back at awareness, what sets you off, looking back at where can I infuse during my day, a morning routine, breaks, afternoon routine, and helping yourself to really get to sleep better. Because ultimately at the crux of a lot of this is if we're too stressed out and we're not sleeping well, all of the breaks and all of
Mm.
the herbs and supplements and turmerics and anti-inflammatory herbs in the world are not going to calm down the inflammation in the body. So we've got to kind of look at upstairs, and also then we got to tie in some of the mindset stuff too, because
Mm.
a lot of people come and be like, I'm not stressed, my life's great, everything's fine, but then we
People
look
are
up
not
here
in
and
touch
we're
with
like,
their
it's
stress.
right, right. It's all mental stuff, and for ladies, unfortunately for us, it's a lot of poking and prodding at the body and, not being happy with how we look and things of that nature too.
And a lot of times we're never stopping to deal with the stress. We haven't ever talked to anybody about it. So it's still internally there. And I know COVID-19 is on everyone's last nerve. How has this affected their vagus nerve?
Oh man, it's from depending on regardless of where you stand, folks, on the side of like vaccinations, non-vaccinations, whatever it may be. My biggest thing is that it's now become, because it's turned political. Now we're kind of looking at that side of the stress of it, but we're also looking at the stress of like, did my vaccine work? Am I going to get COVID? So it's almost like there's this bear that lingers in the air all the time that you're like, I don't know whether I'm going to get it, not get it, what's going to happen. Am I going to end up on a
It's a
ventilator?
fear space.
Exactly. And so that mentally and physically does weigh on us for sure. It's been quite the year, like 18
Yeah,
months, I should say, or
very
more.
stressful
Yeah.
for everybody.
Hmm.
So, what does psychoneurology have to do with aging? Did I say that wrong?
So, psychoneuroimmunology, maybe. It's a big word. It's a big word. But what psychoneural immunology has to do with is back to the mindset and its
Say it for me
connection.
one more time so I have it after this.
Psychoneuroimmunology.
Oh, I almost did like numerology.
Well, and then you could tie that in here too with astrology. I mean, it's all at play. It's all at play. But psychoneural immunology, the basis for it is that your mindset has everything to do with your immune system. Your mindset has everything to do with how healthy you can be or are in the current moment. Because if you're down some negative pathways in your head and you're fearful, right? Or you're feeling pressure from other folks about your health, or whatever it may be, wherever it's coming from in terms of the stressor, the more that your mind loops on, I'm in pain, I'm sick, I'm this, I'm that, you can crash your immune system. It's kind of like the same concept of folks being told like, you have 3 months to live with cancer, and they die within those 3 months. It has a lot to do with mind, nervous system, immune connection. So it's
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 kind
a
of
big
like the
deal.
whole sugar pill thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I really do believe your mind is powerful. And I just have to use this example again. I was at a yoga fit conference and they were having us do, I guess they call it muscle testing in a way, but they were having us, and it sounded kind of a little woo woo to me, but they had me hold my arm out there, and I'm very strong, and especially then before injuries. And they did the pushing down of my arm when I was thinking of something negative. And, I was skeptical about it. So she says, think of something really negative, and I'm going to push on your arm, and you resist so that I can't push it down. Oh my gosh, no problem. Thinking of something negative. She pushes my arm down, no problem. And then think of something positive and resist. And I'm going to push as hard as I can on your arm to try to push it down. She could not push my arm down. And so it showed me really the power of the positive thinking over the negative thinking, and how much stronger you are when you're thinking positive thoughts. And then I'll go as far as to say what you are focusing on. When you say, I don't want this, you're bringing it to yourself. So like if I say, which I did, I don't want to drop my hearing aids in the toilet, what do you think happened? I dropped them.
Dropped in the toilet.
It's
Yeah.
because that's what you're focusing on. So
Yep.
it's better to be the positive thinking and thinking on what you want instead of what you don't want.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great example. I love the muscle testing for that. And yeah, it's totally woo-woo. On my end, I thought, oh, this is strange. Like, how is this possible? But it's real. It's a real thing. And folks, it's something that I challenge you to try and see how it goes, because it is something that your mind has huge control over you and your immune system.
It's amazing to me what your mindset and just the things that you place in your mind, and you can choose what you focus on at any moment, any circumstance. So like choosing what your focus is going to be. Would you rather choose something negative, or would you rather choose to focus on the positive, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, these are important things. I am going to grab my charger. My computer's trying to die here on me. I realized. 1 second.
Perfect. Let's pause it. How does that sound?
Yep. Perfect. I apologize.
Speaking of which, how does your mindset keep you fat, fatigued, stressed out, and unfulfilled?
Oh man. So we've kind of talked about a little bit of this in all of the podcast here today. And really what it is we're not lowering our cortisol. We're keeping our cortisol up. And so the more that cortisol stays up, the more our blood sugar tends to stay up, the more possibility of having insulin resistance. And now when we eat, we're ending up kind of keeping the pounds on. And in addition to that, the body thinks that we are going for this amazing journey away from this invisible bear. And so it's like, I need to store everything because I don't know what's going to happen next. And then you pile on top of that, not taking breaks. A lot of us will tend to stress eat. And sometimes we'll be like, I'm too busy to eat, lunch. So then dinner comes and then mama bear comes out and you're hunting through your whole kitchen. And next thing you know, you've eaten like 3 times the amount of food that you would have consumed if you took the time to take a break and take lunch. So what's happening here is a lot of us are not paying attention to how much we're eating and the components and the quality of the food that we're eating, because when we get stressed, we're going to crave carbs, we're going to crave fat and salt. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is that the combination of what you're craving, what you're eating, in addition to the cortisol keeping your blood sugar up, prevents you from burning fat and makes you a lot more susceptible to taking carbs and turning them into fat. And then you add in some hormone depletions as we get older, a little less testosterone, as you mentioned before. Ladies do have a problem with this. This does happen. And then you're lower on estradiol, all the things that we need to help us to burn the calories that we're consuming. And unfortunately, then for a lot of us who are in the fitness industry, our thing is like, oh, well, I'm gaining weight. I just do 2-a-days and I cut the calories down and I'm going to eat, boiled chicken and broccoli for like a couple of weeks and it's going to be great. Well, unfortunately, now what happens is we've just added more stress to the body on top of that. And one of the ways to pay attention and see what's going on is to look at your heart rate and your heart rate recovery and your heart rate variability to be able to counter that. Because I've found that so many ladies in my practice, they're like, I need to do another HIIT workout. I need to do another HIIT workout. And they're pushing their heart rates to 180, or so. And well, unfortunately, ladies, when you do that day in, day out, you can't recover. And what's your body going to do when it can't recover? It's going to store fat in the places we don't want it. And so we might have amazing muscles underneath the fat suit and we're like, what the hell? And it's annoying. And this is what's happening is your cortisol levels are up or they're extremely low. And your body like has gotten to the point where now metabolic freeze has set in. And this is where your metabolism really doesn't fire like it should, because the body's like, I just need you to do nothing for a while and let's reset. And then I can figure out how to put the paddles on and start the metabolism back up. Because metabolic freeze is also a real thing for a lot of ladies. And so pushing yourself past the limits to the point where you're starting to get really, really fatigued and you're having trouble waking up and you're having trouble getting through workouts. This is a low cortisol thing. It also may be a low dopamine thing if you add on difficulty swallowing, depression, things of that nature. So it all ties back into if we're having low or high cortisol, we're stressed one way or the other, right? And high cortisol is going to be like you've got some reserves, you're still plugging along. Low cortisol, you blew past the point of where your body could keep up and now you're in metabolic freeze. And both of these things will keep the weight on you. And you've got to go back to like mindset of like, we have to chill you out, we have to slow you down,
which is so hard to like absorb in your mental mind, because we've always taught no pain, been taught no pain, no gain, and push harder. You're not working hard enough. And all of that.
Yeah. And especially like if you started out as an athlete or you were a childhood athlete, you heard, you had the same mentality. And then if you're a type A person on top of that, you're like, no, I got this. I'm just gonna,
power
I don't need
through.
a break.
That was what
Right.
I always said, power through, power through. And
Mhm.
so I really have chilled quite a bit. My body's letting me know now because it's starting to go back to the way I was before. And I think like I can tell I'm calmer, I'm sleeping better. I gave up caffeine completely because my body was totally in that high cortisol response, which I think giving it up completely has helped me tremendously, um, just to combat all of that. And your adrenals make your hormones once your estrogen does, since when your ovaries aren't giving you the estrogen anymore.
Yeah.
So that's another really important thing for the menopausal, perimenopausal women to recognize, is that your adrenal health is going to be crucial for your metabolism from there on out.
Yep. Yep. The better your adrenal health is going into menopause, the less symptoms of menopause you'll have. And a lot of ladies are like, well, my metabolism crashed when I went into menopause. Yes, that's because your adrenals were not strong enough. And how do we keep the adrenals strong? And we've kind of jumped over something here. The adrenals, guys, are ladies, sorry, are related right to that vagus nerve and the fight or flight and the neuroimmunology I was talking about. It's all tied in because that's where the vagus nerve signals your body to make your fight or flight hormones, but also your legit hormones, your blood sugar balance, your all of your mineral corticoids, which are blood sugar, but all of your electrolytes too are made through
Oh
that
my
adrenal
gosh.
gland.
So yes. So you're saying what you're speaking the language. I mean, I've done 2 courses now that really stress the adrenals, and one was the root cause protocol
Mm-hmm.
with Morley Robbins, and I just had him on. He was the last episode before this one.
Nice. Nice.
And he had us doing adrenal cocktails, and then Dr. Stephanie Estima again, adrenal cocktails. And I have been doing, I like the way hers tastes better. So I'm like, I can do this every day. It's not so salty.
Yes.
So like I have been doing the adrenal cocktail every day, and I'm getting, since I cut the caffeine, better sleep. My adrenals feel good. I feel like I'm chill, like I'm calm, cool, and collected, not in the fright or flight mode. And it's just really good to rehash this with you today, Dr. Jannine, just as like this refresher reminder that we don't always need to be in this busy go, go, go superwoman mode.
Yes, absolutely. That, I mean, if that is one thing that anyone can take away from this, is that there's nothing wrong with you when you have to take a break. There's nothing wrong. You're
Mm.
not weak. You're not, there's nothing faulted with you when you realize you have to take a break. You have to take time to yourself. And I think for a lot of women, there's this concept of, if I have to power through it to prove that I am superhuman, that I am superwoman. We have this attitude, and really the truth is you're more of a superwoman if you do take time to take a break, because now you're going to preserve your adrenals and you're going to be going into menopause like a boss. You're also going to have, and this is where I get all the ladies, you're also going to have a better metabolism. Bottom line.
So great. And it makes me just say this because I can't help but think like a fitness person, since I've been doing this since I was 21. I think about, you have to have downtime to have uptime.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of relate it to when I'm teaching somebody to decelerate during a jump instead of just hit their joints. You have to go down to come up. Mm-hmm. So if you really want a good jump, you gotta go down to come up. Yeah. And so it's kind of the same way. If we can take that downtime, we're gonna have a whole lot more uptime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The more downtime you actually take, the more you are going to be productive. You're gonna be boss lady, getting stuff done. And so it's just a mindset shift. It's a little bit of rewiring for yourself. But I personally, I mean, I'm proof of it. I would not be standing here today. I would have put myself into a mental institution, literally, because I drove myself crazy trying to overachieve, trying to keep in line. And really, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Your health is too important. and you have the choice to be able to take care of yourself and be your own best doctor. In this case, this is where it stands. Start with being able to manage your stress more effectively.
So good. How do you think the stress is directly affecting how well somebody ages? Like, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
see people that are 60, 70, and they look young. And then you see people that are 30 that look old. I mean, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, like,
Yeah,
um, so how do you think the stress directly affects how we age?
a couple different ways. The more that cortisol is elevated, the more it's going to impact blood sugar. The higher your blood sugar stays over a given time, it's going to mess with your collagen because it'll bind, the
Mm,
glucose binds to collagen and makes it
okay.
brittle. So this is where we start to see fine lines and wrinkles showing up even
Okay.
more. There's also the side of the inflammation, because inflammation, like even in your scalp, can have your hair fall out.
Oh
Inflammation,
my.
in your skin, you could start to see skin discolorations and changes within the skin. And so a lot of people have the liver spots and things of that nature. Now, granted, some of it is just pure sun exposure, right? But others of it is that we can get skin changes that have to do with the androgen and how much stress is being produced in the body. So there's the changes of discoloration, so hyperpigmentation. The going back to fine lines and wrinkles, for a lot of people, this can sometimes be inflammation in the skin where they're not getting the nutrients that they need, either on the gut lining, because our skin out here is a reflection of what's going on in the gut. And so a lot of aging really, I believe, starts in the gut and then gets
Mhm.
translated out to the skin. So this is another big thing to think about
Mm,
in Chinese medicine. We're always looking at skin coloring and things of that nature.
mm.
And right now, if anyone's watching this, I have some dark lines underneath my eyes
We're
because
all leaning in right
yes,
now.
lean in. Look, here we go. You can see them. I have some dark lines underneath my eyes because yesterday we were out and about and went to one of my favorite restaurants and I had a little bit of gluten. And so we have to think about like what foods do to our body and what, things that aren't organic, pesticide free. I did have some wheat that was not pesticide,
Right.
free. It wasn't
Yeah.
organic, all that stuff. And so we'll have things. So looking at your skin's a good example. It can be grayed or yellowed. Now we're looking at liver stuff going on. So
Hmm.
what's happening over time is that your organs do not function like they should. Your cells aren't as effective with turnover and detox as they could be. And it goes really back to how well can your nervous system regulate what it needs to do within your body. And circulation is one of the big ones. Our body is going to try to preserve us to keep us away from bears and things of that nature. So it's going to put blood in our arms and legs. A lot of times we don't get blood to the further extents of our body, and so we'll not have as much blood flow to our ankles. We won't have as much blood flow to the periphery skin. You'll notice, like, if someone's cold, what turns blue on them first? Lips, nose, right? Because the body's trying to keep the blood flow internally when we're cold in terms of a stressor. And so our periphery areas, like our hands, our feet, our face, this can all be a circulation effect that a lot of us will see when circulation is not going well in the body. And it's related to fight or flight, because the more stressed out we are, the muscles get the blood, and the rest of us, our digestive system doesn't get the blood, things of that
Well,
nature.
you can't digest when
Right,
you're stressed.
right.
Your body automatically is doing some other preservation.
And so when you can't digest, you're not getting your nutrients to where they need to be either. And so this is another example with aging is, one, your gut lining might be trash, so you're going to see it on your skin, but you're also going to have nutrients not getting to where they need to be. Like we need proline, we need these amino acids like glutamine, all these things to take care of our skin too. So, and
So good.
organs.
So does the acupuncture like help with your circulation?
Yes. Yeah. On its foundational level, really, if you break down acupuncture, it's a circulation booster, because we're
Okay.
literally telling the body to pay attention to a certain area and then the blood flow is going to start coming there.
Now, how, if somebody was coming to you to get acupuncture, how do they continue the effects of the acupuncture well after the treatment?
Yeah. So one of the best ways is making sure that when you schedule an acupuncture session, you're not going to be going out to something stressful afterwards, because now you're going to negate everything that just happened. So I typically will have people schedule it so the rest of your day is chill. Maybe you go get a massage after. Maybe you just go for a nice walk. You're not going back to work. You're just going back to home, and you may be having a nice dinner, things of that nature. The other way to extend it is I use a lot of essential oils and acupressure to help folks with their core points in their constitution. Like, what are they working on? So I will teach people how to do certain acupressure sessions. Then there's also the going out and grounding and working on that too. It kind of ties right back into me and my recommendation of taking breaks routines. This keeps the acupuncture going. Think of acupuncture as like a little reset, and then now your job is to keep it going, and that's how you would keep it going.
Okay, our title should be Rest and Reset today.
Yeah.
This has been so good today, Dr. Jannine. I think everybody is going to feel like they need to take a chill pill and take some rest after this and take care of their sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems and get them in alignment. What do you have for everybody today, and where can they reach you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Jannine Krause. It's Dr. and then Jannine is spelled Jannine and Krause Krause. So that's where you find my fun side of me and the different things you can see I'm doing in the office. And for today, I have a free course. It's called Manage Stress Naturally. And all you have to do is head over to my website at drjkrausend.com. You'll find it there. It's also in Linktree in my bio on Instagram. You can find it there as well. I also do have a Facebook group. It's called Find Your Health Fix. And I have the podcast called The Health Fix, where I talk about all of these things and helping folks to really become their own best doctor and take care of themselves. We need it. We need to learn how to take care of ourselves in such a better manner and put the control back in our hands.
Oh, perfectly said. Perfectly said. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode today. Make sure to check out Dr. Jannine's podcast. I did. It was so good. And as always, keep on keeping on. Bye, everybody.